Commander Jack Porter stood at the viewport of the starship Horizon, watching as Saturn's rings glittered in the distance. The year was 2087, and humanity had just begun serious exploration beyond their home planet. Jack ran his hand through his short brown hair and sighed. They were making history as the first deep space mission to venture this far, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. "Commander, you might want to see this," called Lieutenant Maria Collins from her station. Her voice trembled slightly. Jack turned away from the viewport and crossed the bridge in 4 quick strides. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" he asked, leaning over her shoulder to view her screen. "Multiple objects approaching from beyond Jupiter, sir. They're moving fast, too fast for any Earth vessel." Maria's fingers flew across her console, pulling up more data. "And they're big." Jack straightened up, his military training kicking in. "Alert status. Now." The bridge transformed in seconds as red warning lights bathed everything in a crimson glow. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but Jack could see the fear in their eyes. No one had expected to encounter anything out here. "Open a channel." "To Earth," Jack ordered. "They need to know." "Sir?" Maria looked up, her face pale. "There's something else. The objects. They've changed course. They're heading straight for us." Before Jack could respond, the communications officer called. "Out, Commander? We're receiving a transmission. It's not from Earth." The bridge fell silent. Jack took a deep breath and nodded. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, and Jack found himself looking at a being unlike anything he had ever seen. It had grayish-blue skin, large oval eyes, and a mouth that seemed too wide for its narrow face. When it spoke, its voice was surprisingly melodic. "Greetings, explorers of Earth. I am Ambassador Zirex of the Thraxi, representatives of the Galactic Consortium. We come in peace and friendship." Jack struggled to find his voice. "This is Commander Jack Porter of the Earth vessel Horizon. We weren't expecting company out here." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "We have been observing your world for some time, Commander. Your species has reached a critical point in its development. We believe it is time for more contact." Within hours, the news had spread across Earth. Humanity was not alone in the universe. The Horizon was escorted back to Earth orbit by 3 massive alien ships, each one dwarfing anything humans had ever built. The world watched in a mixture of fear and wonder as the Galactic Consortium made its official arrival. Dr. Lisa Martinez had been pulled from her university post within minutes of first contact. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, she found herself at the center of humanity's first diplomatic team. Now, a week later, she sat in a hastily prepared meeting room at the United Nations, trying to make sense of the alien language patterns. "They call themselves the Galactic Consortium," Lisa explained to the room full of government officials and military personnel. "From what I can gather, it's an alliance of 27 spacefaring species. The Thraxi appear to be the dominant species." Jack Porter, who had been invited to the meeting due to his role in First Contact, leaned forward. "And what do they want with us?" Lisa pushed her glasses up her nose, a habit when she was thinking. "They say they want to welcome us into their community, to share knowledge and resources." "Just like that?" Jack asked. "Out of the goodness of their hearts?" "Actually," Lisa said, "they keep mentioning something called assessment protocols. I'm still working on the exact translation, but it seems to be some kind of evaluation process for new species." The UN Secretary General spoke up. "Are we being tested, Doctor?" Lisa nodded slowly. "I believe so. But I'm not sure what the passing criteria are. Over the next few months, Earth changed. The consortium established an embassy in Geneva. Representatives from all 27 alien species came to Earth, while human diplomats were invited to visit nearby consortium outposts. Technology exchange began, carefully controlled by the consortium. Medical advances, new energy sources, and improved food production methods helped solve some of humanity's oldest problems. But Jack Porter remained uneasy. Now assigned as military liaison to the consortium embassy, he noticed patterns that troubled him. The aliens were generous with certain technologies but completely secretive about others. They asked endless questions about human biology, psychology, and social structures, but revealed little about themselves. One evening, as Jack was reviewing security protocols for an upcoming consortium delegation, Lisa Martinez knocked on his office door. "Got a minute?" she asked, closing the door behind her without waiting for an answer. Jack gestured to the chair across from his desk. "For the woman who taught aliens English?" "Always." Lisa didn't smile at his joke. Instead, she placed a small device on his desk. "I recorded something today during my meeting with the Thraxi Cultural Attach. Listen." She pressed a button, and two alien voices filled the room. The language was not one Jack recognized. "What am I hearing?" he asked. "A conversation they didn't know I could understand," Lisa said grimly. "I've been studying their languages in secret. This dialect is used only among high-ranking Thraxi." "And what are they saying?" "They're discussing humans. Specifically our usefulness." Lisa's voice was tight. "Jack, they're not here to welcome us as equals. This assessment they keep talking about? It's to determine our value to them. As a resource." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you sure?" Lisa nodded. "They mentioned other species that were deemed useful. The way they talked about them, ... It was like discussing tools, not allies." Jack stood up and began pacing. "We need more information. Concrete evidence before we take this to the Security Council." "That's why I came to you," Lisa said. 2 days from now, Ambassador Xerix has invited both of us to the consortium mothership. They want to discuss our potential membership status." Jack stopped pacing. "That could be our chance to learn more. Or a trap," Lisa pointed out. "Either way," Jack said, his jaw set in determination. "We need to find out what they really want from humanity." 2 days later, Jack and Lisa stood in a sleek shuttle ascending toward the massive consortium mothership that hung in Earth orbit like a metal moon. Through the viewport, Earth looked small and fragile. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Ambassador Xerix sighed, following their gaze. "Your world has much to offer the consortium." "We're looking forward to learning more about potential membership," Lisa said carefully. The alien's wide mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Yes, the preliminary assessment has been most promising. Your species has unique qualities that would be quite valuable." "Valuable in what way?" Jack asked, trying to keep his tone casual. Ambassador Xerix turned those large oval eyes toward him. "That is precisely what we will discuss today, Commander Porter. Humanity's place in the greater galaxy." As the shuttle docked with the mothership, Jack exchanged a quick glance with Lisa. Whatever the consortium's true intentions were, they would soon find out. And Jack had a feeling that humanity's future hung in the balance. 6 months had passed since the consortium mothership first appeared in Earth's orbit. Geneva now hosted the gleaming alien embassy, a tall silver structure that seemed to change shape depending on the angle of the sun. "Inside its walls, Chief." Negotiator Alan Ross adjusted his tie for the 3rd time and tried to look confident as he prepared for another round of talks. Alan was a seasoned diplomat with 30 years of international experience, but nothing had prepared him for negotiating with beings from other worlds. He smoothed his gray hair and straightened the papers before him, though most of the real documentation was digital. The consortium representatives would arrive any minute. "Nervous?" asked Lieutenant Samantha Wells from her position near the door. Sam was the military liaison assigned to the diplomatic team, a role she had inherited from Commander Porter after he was reassigned to a special research division. "Not nervous," Alan replied with a tight smile. "Just wondering what new tests they have planned for us today," Sam nodded. At 42, she was older than most lieutenants, having joined the military after a career in intelligence work. Her short blonde hair and unassuming appearance helped her blend in, which had always been an advantage in her previous line of work. "The way they study us reminds me of scientists with lab rats." Before Alan could respond, the door slid open silently, and 3 consortium representatives entered. Ambassador Xerix led the group, flanked by a tall, spindly being with 4 arms. that Alan recognized as a Vril engineer and a small, round creature that waddled rather than walked. This was the first time Alan had seen this species. "Chief Negotiator Ross," Zyric said in his melodic voice. "May I present science? Director Mool of the Eridu, the director has been most interested in your species and has traveled quite far to observe humans firsthand." The small round alien made a burbling sound that the translator converted to "fascinating biological adaptations, most unusual respiratory efficiency." Alan wasn't sure if he should be flattered or concerned. "Welcome to Earth, Director. We're happy to share information about our biology as part of our cultural exchange." Zyrex's wide mouth formed what humans had learned to interpret as a smile. "Excellent. Today we would like to discuss the next phase of assessment. We have prepared a series of scenarios to evaluate human problem-solving capabilities." 3 hours later, Alan felt mentally exhausted. The scenarios had been complex puzzles involving resource allocation, ethical dilemmas, and abstract pattern recognition. While Alan worked through these tests with the diplomatic team, other groups of humans around the world were being subjected to similar evaluations. As the consortium representatives left, Sam approached Alan's table. "They're pushing harder with these assessments. Every week, the tests get more specific." Alan nodded tiredly. "And they're not just testing our intelligence. That last scenario about the disease outbreak was clearly designed to measure our emotional responses." "I don't like it," Sam said quietly. "Have you noticed how they're separating humans into categories? The physical endurance tests for military personnel, creativity assessments for artists, memory tests for scientists. They say it's to understand the full range of human capabilities," Alan replied, but uncertainty crept into his voice. "They're cataloging us," Sam said bluntly. Later that evening, Sam met with Eric Graham in a small coffee shop several blocks from the embassy. The place was noisy enough that conversation couldn't be easily overheard, which was exactly why Sam had chosen it. Eric was 28, with unruly brown hair and the pale complexion of someone who spent too much time indoors. His official job was systems analyst for the diplomatic corps, but his real talent lay in accessing information that wasn't meant to be accessed. "Did you find anything?" Sam asked without preamble. Eric glanced around before sliding a small data device across the table. "I managed to get into some of their lower-level classification systems. Most of it is still encrypted, but I found something interesting." Sam picked up the device. "Tell me, they have categories for all species in the consortium." 27. "Currently active species, plus historical records of 11 others." Eric leaned forward. "Those 11 aren't around anymore." "Extinct? No," Eric's voice dropped even lower. "Quarantined. Restricted to their home systems. The translation isn't perfect, but they're referred to as non-viable assets or failed assessments." Sam felt a chill run through her. "And what category are they putting us in?" That's the thing," Eric said. "We're being evaluated as a potential asset species. All the current consortium members are classified this way, but with different sub-designations." "What kind of sub-designations?" "Labor sources, research subjects, resource providers, military assets." Eric tapped the data device. "Each species has a designated role based on their abilities. The Vril handle engineering and construction. The Eridu are used for scientific research." "Used," Sam repeated. "Not contribute to or specialize in, but used." Eric nodded grimly. "And guess who classifies everyone?" "The Thraxi," Sam said. It wasn't a question. "Bingo, they're the only species without a sub-designation. They're just listed as administrators." Sam pocketed the data device. "We need more information. Specifically, what happened to those quarantined species that failed assessment?" 2 weeks later, Sam found herself in Dr. Lisa Martinez's lab at the newly established Xenological Research Center. The facility had been built with consortium assistance to study alien languages and biology, but Lisa had carved out a private space where certain conversations could remain confidential. "I appreciate you making time for me, Doctor," Sam said, as Lisa activated a signal jammer. Jack Porter told me to trust you, Lisa replied simply. And after what I've been translating lately, I think we're on the same page. Sam raised an eyebrow. You found something? The Thraxi language has 14 different words for useful, Lisa said. And most of them have connotations of ownership or control. I've been cross-referencing terms from their assessment protocols with other languages in their database. And the way they discuss humans is the same way they discuss resources, not allies. Lisa pulled up a display showing alien text with translations. Here's where it gets interesting. I found references to the species that failed assessment. 3 were deemed too aggressive to control safely. 2 were quarantined for biological incompatibility, whatever that means. The others simply didn't have traits the Thraxi considered valuable. Sam processed this information. So if we don't measure up to their standards, we get contained to our solar system permanently, Lisa finished. But I think we're passing their tests too well. The Thraxi seem particularly interested in our adaptability. Humans can survive in a wider range of environments than most consortium species. Making us valuable as what? Workers, soldiers? Both, potentially. Lisa switched off the display. There's more. The consortium isn't the benevolent alliance they present it to be. The Thraxi control everything: resources, technology, interstellar travel. The other species are essentially client states. Sam shared what Eric had discovered about the classification system. As they compared notes, a clearer picture emerged of the consortium's true nature, a carefully constructed hierarchy with the Thraxi firmly at the top. We need to take this to someone with authority, Lisa said finally. Not yet, Sam cautioned. We need irrefutable proof. Right now, it's still interpretation and fragments of information. The consortium has too many supporters in our governments. People excited about alien technology and the promise of the stars. So what do? Sam thought for a moment. We keep digging, and we find others who share our concerns, quietly. As Sam left the research center, she noticed a Thraxi observer watching from across the street. She maintained a casual pace, giving no indication that she had seen him. The stakes were becoming clear. This wasn't just about joining a galactic community. It was about humanity's freedom. That night, as Sam reviewed the information she had gathered, her secure phone buzzed with a message from Eric. Found something big. Meeting tomorrow. Same place. Sam stared at the message for a long moment. Whatever Eric had discovered, she had a feeling it would confirm their worst fears about humanity's potential future in the consortium. The assessment wasn't about membership. It was about usefulness. And useful things, Sam knew all too well, were ultimately just tools for someone else's purpose. 2 years had passed since the consortium arrived on Earth. Dr. Nathan Carter wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the alien device on his workbench. The research facility hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains housed the most advanced human-adapted alien technology on the planet. Nathan and his team worked tirelessly to understand and modify consortium tech for human use. Any progress? Asked Jack Porter, now a full colonel and director of the facility. Nathan ran a hand through his curly black hair and sighed. Yes and no. I can make it work, but I still don't fully understand how. It's like they deliberately designed their tech to be mysterious. That's exactly what they do, Jack said, leaning against the workbench. They give us toys but keep the instruction manual to themselves. Nathan nodded. The device before him was supposed to be a simple communication system, but he had discovered hidden components that served no obvious purpose. Every piece of consortium technology they studied had similar unexplained elements. The good news, Nathan said, is that we're getting better at working around their safeguards. This communications array can be modified to scan frequencies they claim are impossible to access. Jack smiled for the first time that day. Good work. Keep at it. As Jack left the lab, his secure phone buzzed. The message was from Sam Wells. Meeting tonight. We have a new friend. Across the world in the newly constructed consortium technology. Exchange Center in Singapore. Captain Olivia Wright stood on the bridge of humanity's first faster-than-light capable vessel. The ship, named Defiance, was officially a joint project, But Olivia knew the aliens had provided only the bare minimum of assistance. "Systems check complete, Captain," reported her first officer. "All green." Olivia nodded, her dark eyes scanning the readouts. At 35, she was young for such a command, but her exceptional tactical skills and adaptability had made her the natural choice. "Begin power-up sequence for the drive core." The Thraxi observer watched from the corner of the bridge, his large eyes unblinking. "This is merely a systems test, Captain Wright. The vessel is not authorized for actual flight yet." "Of course," Olivia replied smoothly, "just following standard protocols." What she didn't mention was that her engineers had made several unauthorized modifications to the ship. Modifications that would not appear on any official documentation provided to the consortium. Later that night, Sam Wells, Jack Porter, Lisa Martinez, and Eric Graham gathered in a secure meeting room beneath an old warehouse in Denver. The facility had been built during the Cold War and recently recommissioned for their clandestine activities. "Our network is growing," Sam told the others. "We have people in 16 countries now, all working to understand what the consortium really wants. And to prepare alternatives," Jack added. Eric activated a secure terminal. "We're not alone in our concerns. I've made contact with someone who can help us." The screen flickered to life, showing a being unlike any consortium species they had seen before. It had iridescent skin that shifted colors as it moved and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "This is Krell," Eric said. "He's a Vex, a species that isn't part of the consortium." "Because we refused their terms," Krell said, his translated voice sounding slightly metallic. "My ancestors chose isolation over submission," Lisa leaned forward. "The Thraxi never mentioned your species. They wouldn't," Krell replied. "The Vex are proof that their system can be rejected. We have been watching Earth since the consortium arrived. Your situation is not unique. The Thraxi have used this approach many times before." "Tell us what you know," Jack said. Krell's skin rippled to a deep blue. "The consortium is not the alliance of equals they pretend to be. It is a carefully structured hierarchy with the Thraxi at the top. Member species are effectively enslaved through economic and technological dependence. The Thraxi control all vital resources and interstellar travel." "What happens to species that refuse to join?" Sam asked. "If they pose no threat, they are isolated and ignored. If they resist actively, they are subdued, sometimes through direct force, more often through engineered crises. The Thraxi are patient. They will wait generations if necessary." "And what do they want with humans specifically?" Jack asked. "Your adaptability makes you valuable. Most species require specific environmental conditions, but humans can thrive almost anywhere with minimal support. You also have unusual psychological traits. You form bonds quickly, even with those unlike yourselves. This makes you ideal for certain roles within their system." The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity was being groomed for a specific purpose in the consortium hierarchy. "We need to know more," Sam said finally. "About their intentions, their weaknesses, their true capabilities." "I can help," Krell offered. "But understand that opposing the Thraxi carries great risk. They do not tolerate rebellion." "We're well beyond caution at this point," Jack said grimly. The meeting continued for hours as Krell shared information about consortium technology, political structures, and military capabilities. By the time they finished, a plan was taking shape, a dangerous one. The next morning, in his research lab, Nathan Carter made a breakthrough that would change everything. He had been studying human DNA samples exposed to various consortium technologies when he noticed something unusual. "Colonel Porter," he called over the secure line. "You need to see this immediately." When Jack arrived, Nathan was examining complex molecular structures on his screen. "What am I looking at?" Jack asked. "Human DNA," Nathan replied. "And how it interacts with Thraxi technology." "They're not just interested in our adaptability, Jack. There's something in our genetic makeup that they want." "Explain." "Human DNA contains sequences that can bond with certain Thraxi biotech in ways no other species can. Our genetic structure has properties that make us uniquely valuable to them. Nathan pulled up another display. And I found this hidden in the communication device we've been studying. The screen showed a complex diagram of what appeared to be a human modified with Thraxi technology. The implications were chilling. They don't want allies, Nathan said quietly. They want templates? Raw material? Jack's face hardened. How long have we got before they move to the next phase? Based on their current assessment schedule, months at most. Jack activated his secure phone. Sam, we need to accelerate the timetable. They're planning to use us as more than just workers. Across the world, the resistance movement shifted into high gear. In her quarters aboard the Defiance, Olivia Wright received encrypted orders that made her blood run cold. The consortium was planning to take control of all Earth vessels within the month. The pretense of cooperation was coming to an end. She gathered her most trusted officers. The situation has changed. We need to be ready to move on short notice. Her first officer looked concerned. Captain, are we talking about going against direct orders? I'm talking about protecting Earth, Olivia replied firmly. When the time comes, you'll need to decide where your loyalty lies. One by one, her officers nodded their agreement. They had all seen enough of the consortium to harbor doubts about its true intentions. In Geneva, Alan Ross was summoned to an emergency meeting with Ambassador Xyrix. The Thraxi seemed unusually agitated, his normally smooth movements jerky and rushed. Chief Negotiator, we have detected unauthorized research activities at several human facilities. Xyrix said without preamble, this violates our technology sharing agreements. Alan maintained his diplomatic composure. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Which facilities are you concerned about? That is not relevant. What matters is that effective immediately, all human research using consortium technology will be directly supervised by our representatives. Additionally, we are accelerating the integration timeline. Integration? Alan asked carefully. I don't believe we've discussed any integration process in our negotiations. Xyrix's wide mouth formed a tight line. The assessment phase is complete. Earth has been classified as an asset world. The formal integration of your species into the consortium hierarchy will begin next week. Alan felt a chill run down his spine but kept his expression neutral. I'll need to consult with Earth's governments before responding to this change. Consultation is not required, Xyrix said coldly. The decision has been made. We have already informed your world leaders. As Alan left the embassy, he sent a coded message to Sam. Clock is ticking, they're moving now. The resistance had run out of time. Humanity would have to make its stand sooner than expected. 5 years had passed since first contact, and Earth had become a planet divided. Some nations had fully embraced consortium presence, accepting alien technology and authority with open arms. Others maintained a cautious distance, accepting limited benefits while guarding their sovereignty. Hidden beneath this public face of partial cooperation, the resistance movement had grown stronger and more organized with each passing month. Admiral Peter Walsh stood in the command center of humanity's secret base on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. At 62, his hair had turned completely white, but his blue eyes remained sharp and alert. The base, officially a scientific research station, had been built using a combination of Earth technology and reverse-engineered consortium systems. Status report, he ordered, looking at the array of screens showing Earth and the surrounding space. Consortium vessels have increased their patrols, reported his second-in-command. They've positioned new monitoring satellites above major cities. Our sources indicate they're preparing for what they call the final integration phase. Peter nodded grimly. And our assets? Captain Wright and the Defiance are in position near Mars, hidden in the asteroid belt. 6 other modified vessels are standing by. The ground teams report ready status in all 23 locations. And Dr. Carter? He says the system is ready for testing. He needs another 48 hours to ensure stability. Peter walked to the viewport and looked out at the stark landscape of Europa. Beneath the ice-covered surface, humanity had built its last line of defense, far from the watchful eyes of the consortium. Send word to all teams. We begin in 48 hours. On Earth, Sam Wells moved through the crowded streets of New Delhi, her face hidden beneath a scarf. The city had become one of the centers of consortium activity, with alien representatives working openly with local authorities. Sam had arranged to meet Eric Graham, who had just returned from a secret meeting with their Vexalis. They met at a small tea shop in the old part of the city, away from the modern districts where consortium surveillance was heaviest. "Did you get it?" Sam asked without preamble when Eric sat down across from her. Eric nodded slightly and slid a small data device across the table. "Everything Krell promised. Complete schematics of Thraxi control systems and their communication networks." Sam pocketed the device. "Any trouble getting back?" "Nothing serious. Had to take a roundabout route. The consortium is tightening security everywhere. They know something's happening." Sam sipped her tea, maintaining a casual appearance despite the tension she felt. "They've accelerated their timeline. We intercepted orders for what they're calling a global stabilization initiative. They plan to deploy control measures in every major city within the week." "What kind of control measures?" "According to our sources, they've developed a system that can influence human brain function. Not mind control exactly, but something that makes people more compliant, less likely to question authority." Eric's eyes widened. "They're going to use it on everyone?" "Starting with government and military personnel, then expanding to the general population." Sam set down her cup. "We're out of time. Walsh has given the order. We move in 48 hours. Across the city, in the gleaming consortium regional headquarters, Ambassador Xerix met with the leadership council of the Thraxi delegation. Unlike their public meetings with humans, here they spoke in their native language, with no translators present. "The human resistance is more organized than we anticipated," Xerix said, his true voice a series of clicking sounds. "They have developed technologies beyond what we have authorized." Another Thraxi military overseer Drex responded with sharp, angry clicks. "This was predictable. Humans show dangerous levels of independence. I have said from the beginning that we should use direct control methods. The Council determined that subtle integration would yield better long-term results," Xerix reminded him. "Humans must believe they are making their own choices." "That approach has failed," Drex insisted. "I have prepared containment protocols. We must act decisively before their resistance spreads." "The neural compliance systems are ready for deployment," added Science Director Mirax. "Once implemented, human resistance will diminish rapidly." Xerix considered this information. "Very well. Begin immediate deployment. Prioritize military and government targets, and increase surveillance on all suspected resistance members." What the Thraxi didn't know was that a hidden surveillance device, planted by Eric months earlier, was transmitting their entire conversation to the resistance. In his laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Nathan Carter worked frantically to complete his most ambitious project. The room was filled with a combination of Earth computers and modified consortium technology. Jack Porter stood nearby, watching Nathan's progress. "Will it work?" Jack asked. Nathan didn't look up from his work. "In theory, yes. I've run thousands of simulations. The dark mirror system should create a phase variance that will effectively remove the entire solar system from normal spacetime." "In English, please." Nathan smiled briefly. "We'll still be here, but no one outside our solar system will be able to detect or reach us. It's like stepping sideways into a pocket dimension. For how long?" "Indefinitely, as long as the system remains powered. The consortium won't be able to find us, no matter what detection methods they use." Jack nodded slowly. "And there's no other option? No way to fight them directly?" "Not with any hope of winning," Nathan said grimly. "Their military technology is centuries beyond ours. Even with everything we've learned and adapted, we'd be crushed in an open conflict. This is our only chance." On board the Defiance, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Olivia Wright received the coded message from Admiral Walsh. After reading it, she gathered her crew on the bridge. "We have our orders," she said simply. "Operation Prometheus begins in 48 hours. Our role is to provide a distraction, drawing consortium forces away from Earth while the dark mirror system is activated. Her first officer looked concerned. Captain, that's a suicide mission. Possibly, Olivia admitted, but we'll have help. Our Vex allies have provided the location of several other species who secretly oppose Thraxi rule. They'll create simultaneous disruptions across consortium space. And after the dark mirror is activated, if all goes well, we'll receive the signal to return to Earth space before the system fully engages, if not ... Olivia paused. If not, then we'll be the first humans to truly explore deep space. The crew exchanged glances, the weight of their mission settling on their shoulders. They had all volunteered knowing the risks, but facing the reality was different. Any questions? Olivia asked. A young navigator raised his hand. What if the system doesn't work? What's plan B? Olivia's expression remained steady. There is no plan B. Either we remove ourselves from the equation or humanity becomes just another servant species in the consortium. I know which option I prefer. As the final hours ticked by, Sam and Eric coordinated resistance cells across Earth. Jack and Nathan made the last adjustments to the dark mirror system. Olivia and her crew prepared the Defiance for its dangerous mission, and Admiral Walsh monitored everything from the hidden base on Europa. In Geneva, Ambassador Xerix received an urgent message from the Thraxi homeworld. After reading it, he summoned Military Overseer Drex. Our intelligence reports indicate unusual activity in the human resistance network, Xerix said. Something significant is being planned. The compliance systems are already being deployed, Drex responded. Within days, human resistance will no longer be a concern. We cannot wait days, Xerix said sharply. Prepare our forces for immediate action. I want all known and suspected resistance locations neutralized within 24 hours. And the human governments? Inform them that we are implementing emergency security measures due to a terrorist threat. They will comply, as they always do. Drex left to carry out his orders while Xerix stared at the report before him. Something about the pattern of human activities troubled him. They seemed too organized, too purposeful, as if they had knowledge they shouldn't possess. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Xerix felt a flicker of uncertainty. Humans had proven more resourceful than anticipated, more adaptable, more unpredictable. These were the very qualities that made them valuable to the consortium, but also what made them dangerous. The stage was set for humanity's most daring gambit. In less than 24 hours, Earth would either secure its freedom or fall completely under consortium control. And across the stars, other species watched and waited, wondering if humans would find a way to break the pattern that had trapped so many before them. The moment had arrived. 10 years after the consortium first appeared in Earth's skies, humanity was making its final stand. Not with weapons of war, but with an act of defiance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Peter Walsh stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's Unified Defense Force in the hidden command center on Europa. Representatives from every major nation had gathered for this critical moment, their faces showing a mixture of determination and fear. The consortium forces are moving, reported the tactical officer. They've begun raids on suspected resistance locations. Compliance systems are being activated in major cities. Peter nodded grimly. And the Defiance? Captain Wright reports. Ready status. They're moving into position now. Very well. Peter turned to address the assembled leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, we've known this day would come. The Thraxi never intended to welcome us as equals. To them, we are resources to be harvested, tools to be used. Today we show them that humanity chooses a different path. On the main screen, a diagram of the solar system appeared with a series of points highlighted in red. Dr. Carter's dark mirror system is ready. Once activated, it will remove our entire solar system from normal space. The consortium won't be able to find us, much less reach us. One of the political leaders stood up. So we're running away? Hiding? No, Peter said firmly. We're stepping outside their game entirely. The Thraxi control the galaxy through A system of dependence and domination. They've done this to 27 other species. We refuse to be number 28. The tactical officer interrupted urgently. Admiral, Consortium forces have entered Earth orbit in force. They're deploying to all major cities. Then we're out of time. Peter looked around the room. The choice is simple, submission or freedom. I know which I choose. The vote was unanimous. Operation Dark Mirror would proceed immediately. Aboard the Defiance, Olivia Wright watched as her ship accelerated away from the asteroid belt, heading directly toward the main Consortium fleet. Her crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person aware of what was at stake. "All systems at combat readiness," reported her first officer. "Weapons charged," Olivia nodded. "Open a channel to the Consortium flagship." The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the massive Thraxi vessel. Military Overseer Drex appeared, his alien features showing surprise at the human. "Ship's approach." "This is Captain Olivia Wright of the Earth vessel Defiance," Olivia said calmly. "I bring a message from humanity." "You are in violation of movement protocols," Drex responded. "Return to your designated position immediately." "That won't be happening," Olivia said. "Humanity rejects Consortium control. We will not be your servants, your soldiers, or your laboratory subjects." Drex's large eyes narrowed. "This is pointless defiance. Your species has already been assessed and categorized. Integration will proceed regardless of individual resistance." "You misunderstand," Olivia replied with a small smile. "This isn't resistance. It's farewell." Before Drex could respond, the Defiance fired its weapons. Not at the Consortium fleet, but at nearby asteroids. The explosions sent massive chunks of rock hurtling toward the alien vessels, forcing them to take evasive action. "All ships pursue. And neutralize that vessel," Drex ordered, his voice rising in anger. Just as planned, the Consortium fleet moved to engage the Defiance, drawing them away from Earth. Meanwhile, similar diversions were being triggered throughout the solar system by other human vessels and hidden automated platforms. On Earth, Sam Wells and Eric Graham led a team through the underground tunnels beneath Geneva, heading for the Consortium embassy. They moved quietly, using countermeasures developed by Nathan Carter to avoid alien detection systems. "We're in position," Sam reported over her secure communicator. "Ready to deploy the package?" "Understood," came Admiral Walsh's response. "All teams report ready status." "Proceed on my mark." At the same moment, in Nathan Carter's laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, final preparations for the Dark Mirror system were underway. The massive device hummed with power, a combination of human innovation and reversed-engineered Consortium technology. "Primary power systems online," Nathan reported, his fingers flying across the control panel. "Quantum field generators at optimal levels. Ready to initiate on your command, Admiral." In the Consortium embassy in Geneva, Ambassador Zerix received urgent reports from across the solar system. Human ships were moving out of formation. Strange energy readings were being detected at multiple locations on Earth and the outer planets. Something was happening, something outside their predictions. "Contact Military Overseer Drex," Zyrix ordered. "I want all Consortium forces on highest alert. Deploy the compliance systems immediately, full spectrum." "Ambassador," one of his aides reported, "we're detecting unusual activity beneath this facility." Before Zyrix could respond, the building's power system suddenly failed. Emergency lights activated, bathing the embassy in an eerie red glow. "What is happening?" Zyrix demanded. In the tunnels beneath the embassy, Sam and her team had successfully planted the disruption device developed by Nathan. It was not a weapon in the traditional sense, but rather a system designed to temporarily disable Consortium technology. "Package is active," Sam reported, moving to extraction point. All across Earth, similar devices were being activated, creating a window of opportunity for the Dark Mirror system to engage without interference. In orbit above Earth, the Consortium mothership detected the coordinated disruptions. Ambassador Xyrex, having been evacuated from the embassy, stood on the bridge as reports of failures poured in from across the planet. "This is more than random. Resistance," he said, his voice sharp with concern. "This is coordinated. Find the source and neutralize it immediately." But it was already too late. On Europa, Admiral Walsh gave the final command. "All units, execute Dark Mirror, now." In his laboratory, Nathan Carter activated the system, initiating Phase 1. Energy buildup at 15% and rising. Across the solar system, hidden relay stations began to power up, creating a network of energy fields that would envelop everything from the sun to the outermost reaches of the Kuiper Belt. "Energy at 40%, Nathan reported. Quantum field beginning to form. On the Defiance, now engaged in a desperate battle with consortium pursuit vessels, Olivia received the alert that Dark Mirror had been activated. "All crew, prepare for emergency jump. We have 8 minutes to reach the safety zone." The Defiance turned sharply, its engines pushing to maximum power as it raced back toward Earth. Behind them, confused consortium vessels followed, unaware of what was about to happen. In his command center, Admiral Walsh watched as the energy readings continued to climb. 70%? Send the recall signal to all our ships? They need to get inside the field perimeter now. On the consortium mothership, Xyrex finally realized what was happening. The humans had somehow developed technology that should have been impossible for them. "All vessels, converge on Earth immediately. Stop whatever they're attempting at all." Costs, but it was too late. The Dark Mirror system reached full power, creating a quantum field that began to envelop the entire solar system. The effect was subtle at first, a slight shimmer in space like heat rising from hot pavement. Nathan monitored the readings with growing excitement. "Field stability at 98%. It's working, Admiral." On the bridge of the consortium mothership, alarms blared as their sensors detected the expanding field. "What is this?" Xyrex demanded. "Explain." His science officer looked up in shock. "Ambassador, the humans are creating some kind of phase variance. They're shifting their entire solar system out of normal spacetime." "Impossible," Xyrex said. "No species has that capability." "The readings are clear," the science officer insisted. "If we don't leave immediately, we'll be caught in the effect." Xyrex stared at the view screen, watching as the strange shimmer spread across space. "Order all consortium vessels to retreat beyond the field perimeter, immediately." The alien ships turned and accelerated away from Earth, abandoning their invasion plans in the face of something they couldn't understand. All except one vessel, which continued to pursue the Defiance as it raced toward the safety of the expanding field. 30 seconds to field entry," Olivia announced to her crew. "Hold on." The Defiance crossed the boundary just as the Dark Mirror system reached full power. Behind them, the pursuing consortium vessel hesitated, then turned to flee, but it was too late. The field expanded to its final dimension, encompassing the entire solar system. And then, in a massive surge of energy that rippled across the fabric of space itself, the solar system simply vanished from normal space. Where Earth and its neighboring planets had been, there was now only empty void. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity disappeared, not destroyed, not conquered, but gone. They had simply walked away from the game the Thraxi had been playing for millennia. On the Thraxi homeworld, the ruling council gathered in emergency session. For the first time in their long history, a species had escaped their control completely. Worse, the other member species of the consortium had witnessed this unprecedented event. "The implications are concerning," the Thraxi Supreme Leader stated. "If others attempt to follow the human example,